Me ma kwa babiem e de ba Kodan Academy. Ene ye ba be hwe bibia ya to the introduction to Linux commands. The ba be hwe se ya download the install Linux operating system yi. Kwan ben so ene betumi afa so e control anase e be fa so e use Linux operating system ya download. The se ye control computer anase se ye use computer no normally ye wo kwan mienu anase kwan ahodo mienu a ye fa so e di control computer anase ye fa so e use computer. The edikan ye bibia ye friend graphical user interface. With graphical user interface no de ye ne se ye click wo buttons so ebia ye pese ye bie folder bia ye be click wo folder no so se ye pese ye create file a ni nyina no ye click wo bibi so na ye de create anase ye de aye de ye pese ye nti se ye click wo items anase element so no eno na ye friend graphical user interface. Na another way I fa so e control computer eno so ye bibia ye friend command line interface. Nti ye wo interface mienu wo ho a ye fa so e di control computer no, the graphical user interface any command line interface ya beka se CLI. Ye ko yenim no se ye fa graphical user interface ya ye were examples of this graphical user interface. Nti sanya medinka eka no, graphical user interface allows you to control or use a computer by clicking icons, by clicking on menus and then buttons. Nti anu de ye click bibia e be bia no ase ye hu graphic no de pese ye interact with no ye hu na ya click so. The examples of graphical user interface were Windows desktop. The bit is Windows 11, Windows 10, Windows 8. And then you want Mac operating system desktop. You want Ubuntu desktop, you want web browsers, and I want file explorer. Into which the yabubo su e wo nyina na. You who say we mu nyina no say you use sa operating systems and access sa applications we no. You click on icons so na sa kwan no so ya fa so interact with the computer. Nti aha no ye use bibia e friend mouse, ye use bibia e friend touchpad, and as ye use bibia e friend touch screen. Nti ye be click and as ye be point wo menus so, ye be click wo icons so, ye be click wo buttons so. Ti sa kwan no so na fa so e di control computer no. And the other side no see the command line interface am din kan wasem no. The command line interface allows you to control or use a computer by typing commands as text. This ye hwe aha na instead say nka ye be click wo buttons so ana say ye be click wo icons so ye be click wo menus so aha no da bi emom se ye pese ye bie folder se ye pese ye bonyum se ye pese ye create folder de ye pese ye wo computer ne so nyina no ye be type commands na ye de control computer no. The input device and as a device are using mainly with the command line interface here, the keyboard na ye alphabet ni nyina e was the keyboard no na ye use throughout the command line interface. Into with the command line interface, and the question, how do we interact? We interact with the computer through keyboards. So we type text to instruct the computer to do whatever we wanted to do for us. The examples of command line interface, and I had my own examples of graphical user interface. Error. There was examples of command line interface. With the command line interface, there were examples like the Linux terminal, there were the Windows PowerShell, there were command prompts, and there were Mac operating system terminal. There were examples of command line interface. You use the instruct computer no, and as you use the control computer no. And how do we interact? And like I say, you see keyboards and I say command. So here we are typing text only. Not any computer no edi enkuta ho. In some way, because a graphical user interface is a graphical way of interacting with a system. And a command line interface, you know, see a text-based interface. You see, and as used for faster and automated operations. The afe yabati as say command line interface no, you type commands and you de control a computer no. Yen tiny attention to the Linux terminal. The Linux terminal no, you use a Linux terminal no, see one example of command line interface. So introduction to DevOps, Linux terminal. Introduction to the Linux terminal commands. The Linux terminal no biaya ye type commands. Edi chere Linux say na ebia na ye pese ye and I say na ye pese we den we MI. So the Linux terminal is the place where you type commands to tell Linux exactly what you want to do. Near wo pese we bia no with the Linux terminal no eho na ye type sa commands no te wo pese wo create folder, wo pese wo download the BB from the internet, wo pese wo bie folder bi mu, wo pese wo copy files from one folder to another. Sa de mabubo so nyina no se pese ye emu bia na ye use the Linux terminal. Nti de ye hu ewa hai eye Ubuntu server Linux terminal. Nti we Linux terminal, to be specific, we Ubuntu Linux terminal. O hwe sa prompt ya wo hu ewa hai a ye wo codan at Ubuntu server then colon ana sa symbol no eba ansana $sign no aba no eye bibia efe no tilde. Nti yebeka se codan at Ubuntu server colon tilde then yehu the $sign no na afi blinking cursor kire bebia se type command na ana se kire bebia text bia yebe type no ebe pie ewo. Nti wo hwa at symbol no eche codan any Ubuntu server no mu Linux terminal bia na woni no bedi ahia no ubehu se at sign no ache sa two words no mu. Nti meme de na mehu a eye codan at Ubuntu server. Nti codan na yehu ewo ho no kire user anase nipa wa logging in to the Linux system anase nipa o use Linux system no sisia no ono na ni din ebeba ho. Nti me a me use sa Linux system yi sisia no me din na ye codan no na afi no Linux system bia ekuta edin. Nti computer na ye use no anase operating system na ye use no eno so ekuta edin. Nti me de na ye Ubuntu server. Nti bia wo de no be different thing. Nti se ye pese ye hu nipa wa logging in prompt no ebetumi akire nipa wa logging in na o use system no na afi system na ye use no eno so ne din. Nti anase ebetumi type command who am I. Nti se ye type command who am I na ye bo enter who am I no ebekire se nipa wa logging in na o use sa system isisi ya no ye friend codan ana ye bo host name host name no so ebema ye Ubuntu server terminal no anase prompt na ehu wo no ma ye hint about who has logged in into the system. Na afi Ubuntu server no so and also the host name no anase system na ya logging in into no eno ne din na ye Ubuntu server no. So what dey betumi aye different from meme dia me hu ewo high. Nti we logging into any system I was say dey kan hu kwan ya wa fa so log username we use on the system and afi system na we use no edin be na system no so den AUC. Nti ye hwe Linux terminal na se ebia na we use Linux desktop obetumi abo Control+Alt+T eno obo Control+Alt+T ebe launch the Linux terminal no amount. If you haven't launched the Linux terminal no obo Control+Alt+T ebe launch Linux terminal no the amount. This is a prompt na. A prompt here me hu codan at Ubuntu-server. The meaning no na me ka se codan no na ye the login user no. Na Ubuntu-server no ye the machine name. And what tell na me body no Linux system bia no ewo folder bia ye friend the home folder. The home folder no e wanna user bia na ye be add no to the system no e be create folder e was our home folder no mu e dey that particular user na ye be add no to the system no. And this if you are inside that home folder na ebe show tilde no ewo ho ama say currently folder wo mu sisi a wa logging into no the home folder. Nti say hwe ye terminal yi so a ye hu tilde no ewo ho. Nti tilde na ewo ho no e kire say folder ye wo mu sisi a we are inside a folder ye friend home folder. The home folder no any ye use the group all the users are logging in to the system. This is me am logging in as Kodani. Me folder e be create wo home folder no mu e de ama me e Kodan. Say ye add ni pa foforo and so to this system maybe ye add obi with the name Joseph. Linux e be create folder ye be friend Joseph inside the home folder e de ama sa new user na ya add no to the home folder no. Ti say who tell da no ewo ho a na kire say you are inside the home folder. Na say ba $sign na every Linux system bia na ye wo no ye wo at least 2 users. Ye wo the friend regular user and as a normal user. Any wo ba kwa friend root user. And these are the 2 users at least Linux operating system bia ye wo, whether it is a server operating system and as a desktop operating system, at least you see 2 users, the regular user and then the root user. It is a one logging in as a normal user or as a regular user and ubehu $sign no. It is a $sign na naturally say one logging in as a regular or as a normal user, but so logging in as a root user and ubehu the hash symbol no instead of the $sign to be un hash sign and as a hash symbol no. This is logging in as a normal user, you will see the dollar symbol. So we logging in as a root user and as an admin user, we be the hash symbol no. This is a call back to your Linux server issue or Ubuntu server issue. We say $sign no at the end of the prompt. The $sign now one actually say me am logging into this system. I'm logging in as a regular user or as a normal user, not as a root user. A normal user no, there are some operations and other activities where you are not permitted to do it. But so logging in as a root user, there are some activities because you are the root or the admin user no, you have total control over the system. Nti ubetumi aye bibia e wo system no so ubetumi delete aye install it dia opese we ye practical bia no, you are not restricted as a root user or as an admin user. But so logging in as a regular user, there are some operations and also some activities you are not permitted by the system to do that. Nti that is the difference. So every system bia, every Linux system bia you know equate at least 2 users, regular user and the root user or the admin user. The afe ya beti prompt no ase awie no. Let's look at our first command. The first command bibia friend pwd for meaning here print working directory. Nti print working directory no eno no de ne say eno kire wo bia wo sisi a e wo system no so it shows you where you are in the system. Nti say wo logging in into the system e wo say wo biaya a wo wo system no so. Nti say wo pese wo biaya a wo wo system no so a eno na you use the command print working directory pwd. Answer no betumi create files, answer no betumi create folders, answer no betumi delete files, and answer what to me aye bibia our system. You must know where you are on the system. According to say where we are a die fufuro mu I will say bibia where we are no. Nti say wo pese bibia wo e system so ye bo pwd to bo pwd na wo enter e be kire current location ye wo system no so. Nti say amemi wo /home/codan ye wo folder ye friend the home folder. Nti me wo home folder no, inside home folder no me wo folder ye friend codan. But Linux operating system no, normally you see the word folder but you use the word directory. This what is me use directory? Mama no enye it is the same as what? A folder. Baby, I was here. Me wo folder your friend akwa to say we create folder A na inside folder A no wo san so wo folder B e wo mu nti we no e kire me say me wo folder your friend home folder mu na sa home folder no inside no ye san so another folder your friend Kodan folder enu mu na me wo sisia the print working directory no juma edi ano no say e be kire wo ba bia wo e wo system ne so it shows you where you are in the system. Afe yehu baby our system no so no. We are inside a particular folder. In this folder na yewo mu sisia no. Eden na ewo sa folder ne mu. Se ye pese yehu enoma ewo sa folder ne mu a, eno ye use command a ye friend ls. Nti ye use ls command no e de list files any folders a ewo folder na yewo mu sisia. So you see ls command no at the list files any folders are the current directory and that's a current folder you work inside you say you bought pwd you who say you /home/kodan you folder be your friend kodan into sa folder ya me wom sisi ya no and you man ben na was sa folder no mu ti eno na metimi abo ls ti me bo ls sa ls command di ebe kire me enoma ewo sa kodan folder nti me bo ls sisi anu me wo note.txt na tese me wo file your friend note.txt and me san so wo another folder no di eye wise and I say another directory no edi eye wise nti kwan e be fa so ehu say we eye file and a we eye directory and say always Linux you see blue edi indicate directories na you see white edi indicate files nti say a folder obehu say ni din no color ye de bema sa folder ni din no blue na say enye folder and say enye directory file anu de obehu say Linux you see white font nti we me bo ls no a kire me say me wo note.txt file and na me san so wo directory wise so upese wo hu de ewo folder mu anase de ewo directory bi mu a eno wo bebo ls to bo ls a ebeyi bibi biara ewo sa directory no mu e de amount ye wo bibi a friend flag no options a ye de kan commands a ye type hu se na be ya ebesisa kwan a command no efa so edi ni juma nti a typical example main command no ls. Now with ls ye betimi add options e dey aka ls command no na afi assistant ls command ni suban nti say ye hwe ls command ya ye bo ls command ls ya list by default list files and folders are hide ye we enter and say we be a folder bi mu and say directory bi mu na when hu bibia kra e wo ho a Linux muno, it doesn't mean says our folder no it is empty. It doesn't mean says our folder no empty. ls command no by default no it show only files and folders that are not hidden. And any file be and as a folder be a hidden no. ls command no say obo ls command ne pa those files and folders are hidden no. Enyi no emba anti sa wo di bibia your friend flag account. Nti flag ben na ye betumi e de aka ls command no na ayi folders and files a hiding nyina e de amaye ti me bo ls afei me de hyphen ebeba na me de a ato aso nti hyphen a no ene ye friend flag no nti sa hyphen a yi ebesisa ls command ni suban afei ebekire ne say folders are hiding nyina no yini nyina apie files are hiding nyina no yini nyina apie na display both those files that are hidden and those that are not hidden, those folders that are hidden and those that are not hidden. So what ls-a you bo enter result e dey am dey stand round no e dot so sene you bo ls command no enko a nti hu se you wo dot nti the dot e sha ase bia no e hidden file or hidden folder. Nti so wo hwe .config .local .ssh and you wo .cache nti we mu nyina aye hidden folders so ye hwe .bash_history ye hwe .bashrc so ye hwe .profile we mu so nyina aye hidden files so ye bo ls command ne pe ni amfa flag-a ankanwa by default no ls command enyi sa hidden files and folders emfa emaye ye hwe kwan a ls command show result e dey amayen so ebia nanka ye bepese ye be hu more information about sa folders any files ewo folder and as a directory nimu this ye pese ye hu more info about sa files any directories na ye betumi add another flag nti ye bo ls na fe ye bo -l nti -l no ejina woma bibia friend long nti instead senke ebe show result na say ebe display files any folders no senia ye hunu no eno ebe sisa kwan a ofa so e display files and folders no emom no ebe me more information about file nti me bo enter bo say wo hwe we a amame bibi -rw -r -1 kodan we amaye data ye di create another month ye di create sa files and any folder timer ye di create folder no any file no me size any folder no so a size na afei user anase nipa o create sa folder no na bibia ye friend group eno so ye bedi ho enkomo abra ye ko ye nim nti metimi a combine sa two flags e de abo no mabo ls -al ti se me bo ls -al na me bo enter ebe list all the hidden files and folders na afi arrange and I show more details about ni nyina so e de hidden e de amaye -a any -l no e bibia ye frɛ no flags ti se oba ha ye ka se flag options we add to the command to change its behavior ti wo ls-a show hidden files nti we say ya add -a no files and folders are hiding nyina no it came into view ls-l and also bibia friend no long format so you use eno a kire permissions kire ownership na kire file size no nti say you hwe permissions na sa rwx nti we hu drwx bi we say hu -rw nti say file no start with d na kire say directory so start with hyphen na kire say file nti say wo hwe de ye hu .cache na hu say .cache no start with bibia friend d nti d na no kire say .cache directory directory and rw no ejina woma bibia friend permission ne full meaning read write execute permissions no so ye bre na yesua bibi afa ho into details ankasa the ls command is so eboy me ye list files and folders after the next command e be kan asem bibia friend cd change directory in the cd command no so you move from one directory into another directory in the cd command no juma ono no odi nyina ne say move from one directory move from one folder akọ another folder mu nti say hwe syntax na bo cd command no na afi folder pese ye wura mu no eno ayeden atoa so de di kan ye hwe bia ye wo bo print working directory pwd na kire say wo /home/kodan folder kodan ye hwe enioma e wo sa folder kodan emu nti ehun say wo note.txt ene wo another folder ye frɛ no wise nti say me person me move it to sa folder ya mebo cd na afi folder ni din no atoa so me bo cd wise area me bo enter prompt no so do say folder na ye wo mu currently no ebe show ewo ho amaye nti we kire say we are inside folder wise nti me bo ls ebe yi enioma ewo folder ye frɛ no wise no mu ayeden amaye nti me bo ls me hu say inside wise folder no me wo file ewo mu file ni din note.txt betimi abo ls -a. Na me hwɛ sɛ hidden files another hidden folders bi ɛwɔ saa folder wise mu a. Nti me bɔ a bohu sɛ me wɔ hidden folder ɛyɛ dot. Afei it seems sɛ me terminal no so ayɛ ma. Yɛbɛbɔ command clear, clear command ne din ɛyɛ clear. Nti command clear no so clear prompt no so ɛma yɛ sɛ ne bɛyɛ a yɛbɛnya clean prompt biom na yɛde adi yɛdwuma. Nti sɛ wobɔ clear na wobɔ enter ɛbɛ clear command no so ama fɛfɛɛfɛ sɛ ne bɛyɛ a wobɛtumi anya clean terminal na wode atype biara wopɛ sɛ wo type. Yɛhu sɛ cd command move into a directory awie no. Sɛ wopɛ sɛ wokɔ back one level wura directory no mu, if you want to come back and I say if you want to go back one level from directory na wura mu na and you be use cd na what in term no about dot. The who use cd dot a ti member cd dot. The cd dot e de ebekɔ akyire baako one folder. Ti me bo enter be hu say na me bo pwd a afei ebɛkyerɛ say yakɔ back to the Kodan folder nemu. Afei ma me cd me moving into the wise folder no mu biem. Ti me move to the wise folder na me bo pwd a print working directory ebe print the full path to wherever we are currently on the system. Nti aha no kyerɛ say what the home folder no mu no another folder home folder no mu a your friend Kodan folder, and inside Kodan folder no your folder your friend wise folder enu mu na your currently. Nti me bo ls a be say the ewo sa wise folder no mu nyina no ebeyi ama me pese me komachi baako enu na me use cd dot. Nti me bo enter na me bo print working directory bi mu a mo say be kire say you move back akọ the Kodan folder no inside. Nti say you see cd dot it goes back one level. Afei say pese you will be a friend the root directory. It will be a friend root directory. You dey / na ejina wa masa root directory no. Nti from root directory no enum na all the directories are yewo our the Linux operating system no so no ni nyina start free. Nti the root directory no akwa it say the root of a tree. Na wanna bibia ehya se free. This is a person move to the root directory ebo cd space na abo /. Nti abo / ebo enter don se hwe asesa free tilde na yehu ye no e de akọ /. Ti yehu / na kire say folder ye wo mu currently the root folder. Ti me bo pwd a don se be sesa afei ebe me /. The // no kire say we are inside folder your friend the root folder ye de // na ejina ho amano. Ti member ls ye bo ls a don say ebeyi all the folders and files a e was a root folder no emu. Nti say fa Linux system bia na nyoma e was a Linux system ni su nyina no ni nyina ehya from the root folder. Ti say wo hwe ls ya e boy ya obehu home folder e wo ho. Nti first no na home folder no mu na e wo. Ti ebetumi cd or ebetumi cd into the home folder. So cd niembo home. Ti ebo home a don say aye / home yembo ls. Ti ebo ls a folder ben na ayi amaye ayi Kodan folder no amaye. Nti first no na chese baby aye wo eye home folder no inside. Na sa home folder no ye wo folder foforo wa ye friend Kodan folder. Nti sa Kodan folder no mu enum na na ye de ye wa eno no ye de tilde no na ejina ho e de amano. Ti se wo ye cd / a eno ebe place you into the root directory. The cd / e do be called root directory. Na se mom se wo ye cd ene sa tilde na symbol na cd space tilde na ebe move you into the home directory automatically. Nti ebe place you into the home directory. Nti yanko biem na yembo cd na yembo tilde. Ti be bo tilde no so bo enter. Don't say see yembo pwd a we are back to where we started from. In the way I try and say logging in to the Linux system by default we are placed inside the home directory. we are placed inside the home directory. Mamimbo clear command ni bi na me clear me terminal yuso. Afi yehwe kwan ya fa so create folders. Kwan ya fa so create folders. Ti se pese create folder ye use command a ye fa no mkdir. mkdir. The mkdir no the command a ye use create folder. The yehwe be bia ye wo sisi a ye wo the home folder. Another folder friend ko down mo eno na yewo ndi yebo ls na yehwe yewo notes.txt ene yewo folder friend wise mu ndi yebe isu mkdir ti me pese me create folder sa folder no me pese me tunu di index ti me create folder friend index mkdir na fe me bo enter don se ebe create folder no ama me afi kwan ben so na me hu se folder no e create yembo ls emfa nhwe enioma ewo the codan folder no ntimi ba obehun se afi mebenya folder ye friend no index mebenya folder ye friend no index nti sa folder ye friend no index metumi cd into and as metumi move into the folder ye friend no index and as mebo cd na folder ni din no ato aso mebo enter. Now I am inside the folder ye friend no index mu. Ti se wo pese wo create folder on a Linux system, you see the command mkdir na afi folder bia ye pese e create no ato aso. You bet me creating multiple folders. And one is we separate the folder names with a space. To me bo mkdir e bia me pese me create folder ba kon ye friend no dummy. Pese me create another folder ye friend no dummy 2. Person create another folder be my friend dummy 3. Person create another folder be my friend dummy 4. Nti se me bo enter sa folders ni nyina ebe create ama me afi me bo ls a be hu se sa folders a me create ni nyina aba pepepe e di ama me. So dummy 2 dummy 3 dummy 4 e folders a me create with the mkdir. Nti wo person creating multiple folders inside the current folder dia wo mu a obetumi separate those folders now we person we creating with a space na afi wabo enter ebe create sa folders no at the amount. You see the mkdir command no at the create folders inside Linux. Ya hwe kwan if you create folder awie afi ya hwe kwan a ya fast create empty files. This is person we create empty file. You see command I find on the touch command. And the touch command obebo touch command na file na we person we create ato aso dot extension. The extension betumi txt, extension betumi csv, extension betumi .mp3, extension betumi normally you use touch command no edit create text files. Ndi me call me terminal no so a no as me bo touch the create file no din lisa.txt. Ndi me bo touch command na ma bo lisa file name no me pese anate edin a me pese me de ma sa file no so ayden ato aso me bo enter na me bo ls a e be se sisi a me wo file empty file e friend lisa.txt. Ndi sa kwan we so ene e fa so e create empty files inside Linux operating system. Afi yehwe kwan e fa so e copy files. Tebia na wo file bi we create file bi a you want a copy of that particular file and I say you want to duplicate that file. The no command that you use the cp command copy file cp command. The bebo cp na afi file ben ye pese ye copy. The emfa say ye pese ye copy lisa.txt. The mebo lisa.txt. This is a share syntax na file name.txt na fe duplicate.txt. Kwan ya wafa so save sa file no ebeba na afi duplicate no so edin be na wo pese wo de ma no. Ndi aha no file na me pese me copy lisa.txt. Afi me pese me ma no new lisa.txt. Me bo enter bo se be copy file no ama me kama ndi me bo lsa no sha me wo lisa.txt na fe me wo new lisa.txt. txt nti sa kwan we so ene yefa so edit copy files and as make copies of an already existing files. Ebetumi use cp command no so edit a copy folders. Na eno no wontumi use cp command no nko e wose we add flag bi a friend -r nti mebo cp na fe mabo -r nti folder be na me pese me copy dummy 4 na me ye no dummy 5 nti me copy folder name no ebeba dummy 4 na fe me pese me copy no na be dummy 5 nti me bo enter be so be copy afi me bo ls a mo se sia me wo dummy 5 a copy of what of dummy 4 to be issue you bet me use cp command e dey copy files you bet me use cp command issue e dey copy folders na mom say we we use the copy folders and e was say we add flag -r edman to me use cp without the flag -r na me try some the back copy dummy folder no na me ye no dummy 6 na me try there we say amame error ewa ha e kire me say cp -r not specify omitting directory dummy nti e was say so we person we copy folder there so man flag -r and sana etumi aye ejuma so -r dummy na me ye no dummy 6 na me bo enter na me bo ls be we say dummy 6 no so e wo pepepe ti abra hwe kwan ya fa so use cp command e dey copy files and I say you see the same cp command the copy folders every no yan share the mv command. The mv command is you see sa command the movie files. So if you am file be a particular folder, me person me movie sa file no e call another folder mu. And make me you see mv command and I say make me you see the same mv command e rename file. So if you am file be me person me say sa file no edian make me you see the same mv command edi sa jumai this ba ya terminal usual linux terminal usual ye wo lisa.txt ewo ha lisa.txt the me person me movie lisa.txt edi ko dummy 6 folder no mu the me type mv afa me we file be na me person me movie file no ye lisa.txt na me person me movie sa file edi ko dummy 6 folder no mu na fe ma type dummy 6 nti me type sa command we a me bo enter be won say lisa.txt no ebe movie free baby e wo sisia nti lisa.txt no na wo the index folder ne mu ba sisia ye you see mv lisa.txt e de folder e person movie e kom no eto aso no so me bo ls bi ma be won say wonhu lisa.txt no e wo ahabiem. This is because you use mv command no e de movie lisa.txt e de akọ dummy 6 nti afa yen cd into dummy 6 ti me bo cd dummy 6 na me bo enter na me bo ls a be won say lisa.txt file no e movie akọ sa folder ne mu nti say person movie file be from its current location e de call new location ye issue mv command so me person me movie file no from its current location e dey call different location na mo me person me rename file na ye be ya ne say ye be use the same mv command na mo no so ma me type mv na file na me person me rename no ye lisa.txt na me person me rename no e call rename lisa.txt and this file no say you moving no from its current location and call different location mv command no rename file no and then it puts it inside the same folder. And the only instance mv command no ebe movie file no when we are moving the file from its current location to a different location like the me movie lisa.txt edi free the index folder and mo edi call dummy 6 folder mu tisia no me person me rename lisa.txt the dummy 6 folder no inside mebo mv lisa.txt na fe dia me person me rename no etu no eno so ayeden ato aso nti me bo enter na me bo ls ebe unsa afi asesa from lisa.txt edi akọ rename lisa.txt And this is per se we are moving files from one location that they call another location. You see the mv command. So me person be rename file no so and you see the same mv command. So moving or renaming of files. This is useful when you want to rename and relocate files. The abra share kwan first you see the mv command area. You share the rm command. The rm command. So rm command no so delete files. This is me person be delete any file biana and may use rm command no. Nti yan hwe syntax no. Ye bebo rm command no. Na fe file na ye pese ye delete no. And also adding atwa so rm file name.txt. The file name.txt no the file extension. This is file extension here .pdf. So file extension here .mp3 ubebo dot. That's file name dot that particular file extension. So delete files. This is useful when you want to delete files that are no longer needed. The external say you call the Linux terminal also. Me person me delete rename lisa.txt a word dami 6 folder no mu. Ti me bo pwd e be kire say you dami 6 folder no na me bo ls be say you the rename lisa.txt. Me person me delete sa rename lisa.txt and me bo rm. So me bo rm ni wi a afei file ni din e be to aso. Ti me dey rename lisa.txt. To be both rm rename lisa.txt ebo enter ebe say ebe delete afi me bo ls list files command na ebe say ye ni rename lisa.txt no ebiem ewo ho nti rm command no ye use rm command e delete files. Na ade ba kwa me pese wo hye ne se ene say unlike other operating systems ye wo recycle bin ewo mu no. With Linux operating system, no, we do not have recycle bin on the terminal. So there is no recycle bin on the terminal, and deletion is immediate. And they say we delete file biana because any recycle bin our terminal no sintino file no delete immediately. So it is like a permanent deletion of those files. So whenever you want to delete any file biano, make sure that say file no say we use rm command no delete file na ye new recycle bin bia obetimi akọ back into that recycle bin our terminal so na wakọ recover file no. To make sure say e was a file no enhu hia say e was say delete ansa na we delete file no. Rm command no you use rm command delete files on the Linux terminal. Afi yekoye nim yehwe rmdir. Nti yehun se rm command no delete files. So emum ye pese delete folder. Ye pese delete folder enu no ye use rmdir. Rm delete file no. Na afi rmdir no so delete empty folder. Nti shene so rmdir no delete empty folders. So this command will delete empty folder. Normally used when folder has nothing. It is a folder no bibia anymore and then you use the rmdir command delete. So back to the Linux terminal no. Mamin call back to the index folder no. Afi me bo ls me wo dummy 2 dummy 3 dummy 4 dummy 5 dummy 6. Nti mamin hwe de ewo dummy 2 no mu ls dummy 2. Me bo enter don't say ls dummy 2 no bibia any sa folder no mu. Nti betumi use rmdir delete sa folder no. Nti afi me bo rmdir no wi a na folder na me pese me delete na empty folder no and as empty directory no ato aso. Me bo enter ebe mu say me bo ls bi mu a afi yenhu dummy 2 no ewo ho bi because rmdir command no delete sa folder no. Nti use rmdir no delete empty folders. So BB was sa folder no mo yentumi use rmdir no and delete sa particular folder na what content within. So we can only use the rmdir no only when that folder or directory is empty. Mamin check dummy 5. Na me say BB what dummy 5 mo. BB any dummy 5. So yan copy new lisa.txt and code dummy 6 inside. So me boy enter be copy The copy new lisa.txt edi akwema member ls dummy 6 na mention good. So new lisa.txt a copy into dummy 6. After you see the rmdirr command, the enfan try say you be delete dummy 6 after what content and I say what file inside. So rmdirr dummy 6 me ba mo say rmdirr no ebe fail, it failed to remove dummy 6. She failed to remove dummy 6 directory not empty. Until we use the rmdirr command only for directories or folders that are empty. So we will be say the question is, okay, what if I want to delete folders or directories that are having content? If you want to do that, connection is rmdirr can't be used. But if we want to delete folders and as a directories what content media no you see rm-r. Say you use rm-r now and ebe delete folder no now for bibi biara folder no mo so no ebe delete ni nyina. Say you person delete folder and its content that is when you use rm-r. So delete folder recursively. Into my -r no ejina oma recursive. Into bibi biara sa folder no no sa command ebe delete folder no including all the files in that particular directory or folder. So this command will delete folder and its content recursively. So go back to the Linux terminal no. After you said dummy 6 no contain file new lisa.txt. Remember rm na for your flag -r na folder na person delete no ato aso. So dummy 6 after me bo enter bo say delete no ama me na for yembo ls na bo say yenhu dummy 6 no wo biem. So we use the rm-r delete folders and its content. In the animating say on the Linux terminal we do not have any recycle bin. And this we use any deletion commander, you have to be sure say the person will delete ampa what you say na ehun hia say we delete and sana where you see those commands. And yeko yanemu no afi yenhwe another command rm-rf and so delete folders recursively. Delete folders recursively. So you person delete without the Linux terminal giving us any form of warning. I don't know you see BBI friend -f. The -f no a shell Linux operating system is a delete sa files any content without giving any warning. So this particular command is also very dangerous. So this command will delete folder and its content recursively without warning. So use it carefully because it is very dangerous. Until go back to the terminal no so pwd. Now you say what index folder no index folder no with index folder no afi dummy 3 dummy 4 dummy 5 new lisa.txt and then pdf.pdf. So let me move pdf.pdf now me call dummy 5. Take me enter. Oh sorry, things instead of pdf no my dpf. So my member command mv pdf.pdf. After me moving to the dummy 5 folder no mu me enter me say a movie to me ls yenhu pdf.pdf no obm and movie into the dummy 5. After me so a movie new lisa.txt the mv new lisa.txt now so me moving to dummy 5 directory no mu me enter after me ls yenhu new lisa.txt no ebiem ho ndi yambo ls dummy 5 ls dummy 5 me ls dummy 5 obi say wo new lisa.txt pdf. After you see rm-rf ndi yahu say rm-rf no force the Linux terminal as the Linux operating system and it delete folders and its content without giving any warning. The dummy 5 na me mo enter be say e be delete dummy 5 this year yen dummy 5 e wo ho biem tie wo dummy 3 and then dummy 4. And yes, say a person delete folders and its content and only you use rm-r and I say rm-rf. See a person start deletion no a year juma without any warning being given. And I'm actually say rm-rf command no a very dangerous if you mistakenly use it on any of the folders the Linux operating system no edidi juma. If the system user no edidi juma, then your system will crash because at the end of the day no ube delete important files and I say important directories it is being used by the system for a particular operation. So whenever you are using rm-rf command there, make sure say unim the way na folder and I say directory usual will delete no so unim the sa directory and I say folder name. Afi yenko yenim. Ni next command the friend cat command. The cat command the agent na oma bibia friend concatenation. The cat command a display file content. This is useful when you want to read file content quickly. The etienne say test editors you bet me use view the content of files and as you bet me use share a particular file content. Then mom say person you share file no content on the terminal and you see the cat command remember pwd I bet you say what the index folder remember ls you say there one folders and directories we don't have a file, so let's just create a file called touch lisa.txt enter ls creative file lisa.txt but you see it just a touch command you should create empty files. So this lisa.txt and containing any data and I say it has no data or content at all. The test editor be a friend nano. The nano is it me using nano at the edit files. It is just like Notepad, Windows operating system. The nano a test editor, it is built into the Linux operating system. I bet me you see at the edit files. So remember nano, na file na me person me edit no, na me this file no atwaso. So nano lisa.txt. Don't say a be the nano test editor no amame. Afe mamen type we are learning Linux commands, and these are useful commands as long as your journey as a DevOps engineer is concerned. We shall get there very soon. Good. The my boss we are learning Linux commands, and these are useful commands as long as your journey as a DevOps engineer is concerned. We shall get there very soon. Full stop. Me saving Control O. Now me there save this particular file. Now me enter. Now me Control X. The say you add the content to the lisa.txt. The person me view this content. Me person me who the lisa.txt inside without opening it with any text editor. Remember cat command no. After cat command no file be na me person me share the me na file ni no atwaso. So lisa.txt me enter. Bon say there you type here no e be show the Linux terminal no so na ye hu the lisa.txt file no inside. So we are learning Linux commands, and these are useful commands as long as your journey as DevOps engineer is concerned. We shall get there very soon. So yes, you see cat command in the display file content, and this is useful when you want to read file content quickly. It concatenates and prints content to the screen. Nti ebia na yemfa no say yes also create another file. Nti me person create file no na me edit file no directory metumi abo na no na afi file no din ato aso. Nti me bo jack.txt na me bo enter be bie jack.txt be create sa file for me. Na me bo this is another test file. We are still on Linux commands. We are making progress. Now for me use Control O, member enter, Control X, now member enter to exit from the text editor. And the after me wo lisa.txt and I'm what jack.txt. To me person me view the what jack.txt and lisa.txt no. And we make me use cat command. Now my pass jack.txt. Now for Martin tell them about lisa.txt. The cat command ebe say e jira homa concatenate no the ewo sa 2000 nyina mu no sa cat command ebe read the ewo jack.txt file no mu e we na read lisa.txt file no so na a combine the ewo these two files nyina together na a display sa content no on the terminal. Nti na friend concatenation command into concatenate say you join test A and test B a diabom into one test. It is you should cat command and now pass it different files to the cat commander. Cat command in able with the content what's our files in name na afi a display our content in our terminal no so am to me what enter you say I read the what jack.txt. This is another test file. We are still on Linux commands and we are making progress. We are learning Linux commands and these are useful commands as long as your journey as DevOps engineer is concerned. We shall get there very soon. It is a way you use a combine content in jack.txt and content in lisa.txt. The cat command a concatenate file content and then it prints those contents on the screen for us to see.